Hello and welcome to today's meeting of Democrats of Greater Tucson. My name is Larry Bodine. I'm the president and I'll be your host today. And I'm just thrilled to see everybody here. It's a wonderful day to have a Democrats of Greater Tucson meeting. And with us today we have Richard Fimbres. Richard.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for inviting me to come today.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you. We do have a couple of quick announcements. Christina, why don't we start with you today? Tell us about what's coming up.
Okay, everybody, we have happy hour coming up, our Drinking Democratically happy hour coming up on August the 25th at Brother John's on Stone Avenue. It's a great opportunity for us to meet face to face, talk some politics. Last time at Monterey Court, we had a great gathering, got a lot of petitions signed, so I hope you'll consider registering. Not very many people have registered yet, so in the chat I have the link for registering. You don't have to print the tickets, and it gives you information through that link of the address for Brother John's and so forth. One thing we do ask is that everybody that comes to please be vaccinated. Hope you'll register, and we hope we'll see you there.
All right. Super.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Kathy, as long as you're on the screen, go ahead, fill us in on why people should join.
Glad to see all of you here with us on Zoom. It's interesting, isn't it, how Zoom just kind of becomes a part of our lives. You know, we were hoping to be able to start meeting in person and Zoom, but with this COVID working the way it is, we decided not to. We're going to stay on Zoom. I have a friend whose husband was vaccinated and has caught the COVID. So he's sick. He's not as sick as he would have been had he not been vaccinated. But that's a good reason for us not to go back in person just yet. I do need to remind you, though, if you're not yet a member, you need you have until November 15th to get your membership up to date if you want to run for the board. So, you know, these board people, we're happening folks. So maybe that's what you'd like to do. I don't know. Remember, if you don't want to do Act Blue, there is a post office box where you can send a check for $20 to the DGT, and that number can be found on our website. So everybody stay safe, stay well, and don't forget, we want to go to Brother John's Beer, Bourbon, and Barbecue. What a wonderful tongue twister that is, huh? Beer, bourbon, and barbecue. Okay, right back to you, Larry.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm probably going for the barbecue as opposed to the bourbon and the beer, but that's just me. So Sandy Binion, fill us in on who is going to be speaking to us in the future.
Coming up is next week, we have Lucy Messing and guest David Lujan, who are going to be talking about the things everybody is signing to try to overturn what the legislature did in their attempt to not get money for education. So the group from Invest in Arizona is going to be speaking. And then on the following Monday, David Hernandez, who is our third candidate to speak to us, who is running for Ann Kirkpatrick's position since Ann is retiring. And following that, we're taking a day off in September. So on Labor Day, instead of joining us online, please join Labor in whatever outdoor activity they decide to have.
Thanks so much, Sandy. Let's see, seeing no other raised hands here. All right, that completes all the announcements. Let me tell you a little bit and give you an introduction of Democrat Richard Fimbres. He is a member of the Tucson City Council representing Ward 5 on Tucson's south side, where he is a lifelong resident. Richard was first elected in 2009 and is running unopposed in the November 2 election, and he aims to continue the renaissance of Ward 5 and the South Side. During his 12 years in office, Richard has brought businesses in Ward 5, created 14,000 jobs, attracted employers like Geico, Costco, and the Amazon Distribution Center. He's provided healthcare in Ward 5 with the El Rio Healthcare facility at Cherrybell. He brought more educational opportunities to young people in the JTED Center for Innovation at the Bridges, and he saved the Cherrybell Post Office and Processing Center. And with that, Richard, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the allowing me to come speak to you all today. I know it's virtual, but we have to be extra cognizant of the pandemic, the increases in number of people getting sick with the Delta strain now. But it's a challenge right now, but we've been dealing with this for 15 months now. And I want to thank all the citizens of Pima County, City of Tucson for their work and getting the word out about masking up, getting vaccines. So I started this job in 2009. I got sworn in on December 7th. December 15th, they told us we got the first meeting, told we had a $33.5 million budget deficit, and we fixed it. The next year was a $44 million budget deficit, and we fixed it. The third year was a $55 million budget deficit, and we fixed it. And then we got it down to 18 million. So there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but then the legislature messed with public safety retirements, and that increased it by 37 million to us. So I haven't seen a very fluff budget like my previous predecessor did. We had pockets of money at CDBG, at School to Work, back to basics funds. We didn't have any of that because they swept it all in. When I came in, employees were working and doing 9-day furloughs a year. So a lot of challenges. When I walked and knocked on the doors, people said, Mr. Fimbres, I am tired of having to get on the bus, having to go 8 miles down the street just to get to a market, or to go to the doctor's appointment, or to go to work. So those are things we've been, they said, I want services here in my ward. So the previous council person front loaded the pad deal for the Costco so much that nobody would touch it. So we were able to get the Canadians to come back. We considered the 4 neighborhoods were sitting around the table that was directly impacted, and myself and city staff, we were able to cut a deal. That Costco hit a home run. You see it at the Bridges. And now we got Costco there. We have the First Dave & Buster's in Pima County there. We have the First Century Mark 14 theaters there. And we also have the Walmart. And we also have JTED just moved in to help our educational programming. And the refinery, the university is finally coming in with their technology, advanced in technology. So we got lots of movement. Not only there, but the largest annexation that occurred back in the city was the Valencia crossing, Valencia and I-10. So that's lots of growth for more affordable housing, more retail coming into that area. So there's lots of movement, but the city of Tucson lives on sales tax. We don't have the luxury the county has of living on property tax. When the economy tanks, we feel it right away. They don't feel it for 2 years, and they have the authority to raise your property tax. We don't have that. We have to go out for a bond initiative if we're going to do that. So we're very cognizant we need to work with the business community to bring services here. So my job has been not just a job, it's been an adventure. Every day is a new challenge. And I want to thank my staff, Mark Kerr, Mary Kuchar, Lupita Robles, Matt Taylor, and Gabriel Holguin, who have really helped us and calmed a lot of the voices that are concerned here and fearful. There's a lot of anxiety and depression out there right now because they don't understand they're going to be evicted. They lost their jobs because of the COVID, etc. So we've been the calming force in this office to help them. And I am running unopposed, Larry, and I think that's a good indicator that I've done a good job here in the ward. My staff has done a good job to keep us moving forward. They still want things there. They want the Shakey's to come in. I keep hearing that Shakey's wants to come back in to Tucson. So hopefully we can put it at the Bridges. And there's other things happening at that area that's going to be really beneficial to not only to that area, but to the city. Remember, location is critical. We're 5 minutes from main campus of the university, 5 minutes from downtown, 4 minutes from the airport, and 4 minutes from Banner Hospital. So that's critical. So Larry, you want to ask me any other questions?
Let me open up the floor for questions. If you want to ask a question live, just click on the reactions button at the bottom of the screen and raise your figurative hand, or you can put a question in the chat if you'd like. Let me start things off, Richard, with a question about homelessness. There are about 1,600 homeless people in Tucson, and the number is growing, and it's likely to grow more once the eviction moratorium concludes. And what difference do these various programs make, like Tucson Homeless Work Program or the Tucson Change Program or the Tucson Homeless Coalition? What kind of a difference do they make, and is there something we should be doing differently?
Larry, I think they've done a good job. Number one is bringing all the Homeless Coalition. We started that and created that because we wanted to get all the powers to be, and we're working with this population there. Usually in the summertime, our homeless numbers drop because of the summer is too hot to stay outside. So a lot of our homeless, but you got to remember too, our numbers of people are visible because our shelters, because of the COVID, cannot be at full capacity, cannot operate at full capacity. And so that's why you see a lot of folks on the streets. But we created, not only did we create the coalition and the homeless work program and the Tucson Change program that supports the homeless work program, but we also have the ministry with TPD and also the homeless task force with TPD that are working. And homeless is not a crime. So we don't want to see them filling up the jail. But when they become assaulted, then they tie their hands of the officers. But we have to work together. And we got a good collaboration. The other thing we keep hearing now is there's rumors that California is giving them one-way tickets to come to Arizona. And I'm hoping that's not the truth to help us. But they have more issues there. It's going to multiply. It's going to increase because of the eviction clause. And we're trying to work. We're working with Liz Morales, our homeless director, Pima County health director, and housing directors to help us to work on try to solve this issue. You know, we talked to Humberto Lopez, who's the head of HSL, and the Center for Opportunity is open. And that works with Gospel Rescue Mission and La Frontera. And now El Rio just opened up their business there, opened up their shop. So it's one-way shop. And then they also have a connection with Dan Sullivan and Pima County One Stop. So we're helping to put these folks into writing them and getting them the help that they need and the services they need to help them become a better citizen in our community and help them find a way. We also need to work on the courts to look at this because a lot of people will not ask for help because they perceive they have warrants out for their arrest. That's a challenge for them too. The homeless work program, we put people to work. We work for 5 hours a day, and they can sign up. They go to Primavera, Salvation Army, Sister Jose's, and they get pre-screened by El Rio, and then they work the next day. They work for 5 hours. The key to that is the navigator. The navigator in the van with them says, what other services do you need? So we try to hook them up with that. So they get cash that day, not waiting a week or 2 weeks. They get cash that day, so that's very positive. One person bought the tool, the car part that he needed for his vehicle, and he went home. Another person took the money he raised that day, went and bought a one-way bus ticket back home. So this helped. One lady that we have a highlight on Channel 12 says, for the first time I ever buy gifts for my family. So it's working for them. It's helping them right away. And there's lots of great social service groups in our community that are helping with it. And that's why the Homeless Coalition is so good. You know, 1 year, they tried to reroute, they limited our blankets. They didn't think we got cold here. So we were able to reroute that with the help of Congressman Grijalva, Congresswoman Kirkpatrick, and Senator McSally. We were able to rewrite those blankets here, so we only missed 1 day, but the community came forward because of the Homeless Coalition, and we raised about 4,000 blankets. And then when we got our shipment in, we got 11,000 instead of the 10,000 that were allotted to us. So it helped us get that right. So it helped us with good stories. And here's the things that are happening. Just be able to communicate and talk to people. It's also helping us look at issues. Like we hope that they want to evict people at 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon when there's no services. We're going to be talking to the mayor, but we need a 24-hour service number we can contact to get people services when they get evicted or just come into town and need a place. we're working with the constables to give them vouchers so that they can put somebody in a hotel and wait for the weekend to end or the evening to work so they can help them. It's about being more humane with our fellow citizens.
All right. Thanks very much for that very informative answer. We have a number of questions. Let's start with Jeannie Christie, who is a member of our board. Go right ahead, Jeannie.
Hi, Richard. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for all the work you've done down there at the marketplace with bringing in all those businesses. I think it's wonderful. I do have a question. Can you update us about Cherrybell? I have followed that, and I've been a little active in it over the last, I don't know, 8 years or so. And I just, I don't know what's happening recently with it. Can you update us?
Well, you know, yeah, Jeannie, you know, in 2011, we were supposed to close the doors.
Mm-hmm.
The Postmaster General, Dan, thought that he could just have one little visit. And then they'd say that they talked to the citizen. It was not a rush, but we organized a meeting at the TCC, and we had 600 people show up that day, and we had about 7,500 small business, no, 70 small businesses show up that day. He said, you can't close it, you know, and so we've been working on it every year. We keep it open. And now they got the passports in there. They got other services. Everybody, we finally got our postmaster in there to helping them.
That's good news. Thank you.
So we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of issues, and then there's a couple of bills we're working with our national elected officials to help us. And we've had several meetings in my office with, it's a bipartisan deal. We've been able to talk to Senator Flake, Senator McCain, then Congressman Meadows when he was a congressman, and McSally, and we've had Andre De Alessandro, we've had Rosana Gavaldon, key people that work on it to help us work on this. And Daniel Hernandez has helped us.
Mm-hmm.
And Alma. These are critical people that have helped us raise the voice. So it's critical we keep it open. And I'll tell you why. A lot of our seniors grew up in the Great Depression. They don't trust banks. They want to see they still get their check in the mail. So they have their grandchild pick them up, go cash their check, buy their groceries, buy their prescriptions, and then they have lunch or dinner, and then it's called it for the month. So that's what they have. And then the other thing is for our small businesses, they get a rebate or they get a discount business learning. They're going to have to go to Phoenix to get that, and they're not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's critical for Southern, plus the 2 tribes. They're critical for them to get their mail because they have a lot of rural areas, outlined areas that they have to get PO boxes. So that's critical for them to get their mail and get their messaging that they need. So this is critical, and we're hoping they should be expanding that. We have enough room to expand that area, not close it.
Okay, we've got a question from Steve Early, another member of our board. Go ahead, Steve.
Hi, Richard. I'm a one-issue kind of guy right now. Why do we have Pancho Villa in downtown Tucson?
Yeah, well,
He's a murderer of Americans, and he went to war against us. And I just don't understand why his statue is downtown.
well, it hasn't been brought up as a key issue, Steve, but he was also a patriot to the Mexican government who helped bring Benito Juarez and Emiliano Zapata change that government a long time ago. And there was a war, that was a gift to us by the Mexican government. So I have to look into that and find out. I'll ask the city manager, Mike Ortega, what's going on with that. We haven't had any movement on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is your birthday was up or coming up?
Mine's due up. My wife and I are 8 days apart.
Oh, good.
It's the other
Happy
Steve. Steve. It's our treasurer, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Steve.
Steve Linder.
Happy birthday, Steve.
Okay, we've got a question from another board member, Susie Anderson. Go right ahead, Susie. Ask your question.
Thank you. Is the Board of Supervisors at all working on speeding up the money to get to the homeowners, the people who are renting their property, so that people can stay in the homes those being close to eviction. I know it's been a slow, drawn out process, and there's still a lot of money left to be disseminated to the owners of the property so that pressure is taken off them as well as the renters. So is anything being done to speed up that process?
I think that Matt Hines and Analita have really been on top of that and being careful, because I know in Analita's district and Matt's, we have the most need. So they've been working on that. Been working with us, with Liz Morales, our folks. They'll also do the same thing, expedite services, to get that funding out. And shoring our list of Section 8 housing. There's lots of movement on there right now. We are moving to hire a Housing First director for the first time, working on this issue, so we can just focus on that issue. We have about 18 applications right now, 18 candidates are vying for that position that worked in this field. We need to hit the floor running with that and get going, because it's going to be more than less. The other thing we're looking at is Liz Morales is looking at affordable housing, where we can put into places and move on things. The other dilemma is second chance, folks. People come out of the jail or prison. We have to look at where they're going to be housed and moving on this. There's a lot of challenges for us right now. But I know that talking to Matt, talking to Adelita, talking to Rick Scott, the people are wanting to come together and work together. And also Mr. Huckleberry, he's been critical with this, making sure services are being expedited. So is Dr. Garcia. This is a challenge for us, and I think we weathered the storm. We're doing a lot better than a lot of the other counties in the state right now. You know, and our mayor took a big risk of mandating masks at the beginning and vaccines. You know, and she was attacked for this, and that thing was crazy, because you got to put the needs of the people first, and the safety and security of the people first. So that's what she was doing. So I think she's been very prominent too in doing that. And our council, my colleagues.
Thank you.
We have a question from Lucy Messing.
Call us. Pardon me, Larry?
We have a question from Lucy Messing. Lucy, go right ahead.
Thank you, Larry. Hi, Richard. Welcome. How are you?
How you been, Lucy? I haven't seen you in a while.
I know we've been very busy. I'm actually going to ask you, who's the best person for me to contact in your office to try to get your schedule so that you could appear at the Tanque Verde Dems on September 11th. We are having Kevin Dahl and Steve Kasachik join us, and asking for you to join us as the three Democrats who will be in the November election for the city council. So who should I contact in your office?
Call Mark Kerr, my chief of staff, and he'll get. It's September 11th. At what time, Lucy?
10 o'clock.
And that's September 11th, though. We have a lot of events going on because it's very critical and very easy. And I've been talking to American Patriot Memorial. We're doing an event there at the Holy Hope. So, but call Mark and we'll check the schedule. What time are you looking at?
10 to 11, and you could come on. You could maybe just take 15 minutes in any time between 10 and 11.
I've been at your facility. It's the same little restaurant that you had it before.
Well, we were going to be meeting in person, and again, like DGT, we're not. We're going to be on Zoom, so it will be Zoom.
So that'll work better. Yeah. I'll work on it. Let me see if I can adjust my schedule for you, because you guys always help me out, so I'm going to help you out.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, turning now to Michael Bryan, another member of our board. Michael, go right ahead.
I'm Mr. Fimbres. I'm actually asking this in part in response to Lillian in the chat room. She asked, where do you stand on requiring COVID vaccinations for city employees? I pointed out that the city council had in fact adopted such a mandate for city employees. I'd also like to get your response to today's executive order by Doug Ducey, indicating that cities and counties are not empowered to impose such mandates on their employees or anyone, and threatening people who do so with a Class 3 misdemeanor. If you haven't seen that yet, I have a copy of it that I can send you.
Yeah, could you send that to me? Because I haven't seen that. This is the first time I'm hearing it, but You know, on Friday, we had an emergency meeting. It was a vote of 6-1, and we said we need to get people vaccinated. You know, we have about 1,200 employees that haven't gotten vaccinated, so they're trying to have us move that agenda. City manager, when the mayor voted, was not a mandate, yet the employees have the opportunity to get tested. When I went through to get my 2 vaccines, Tucson's fire paramedics were at the TCC administering these shots, and Tucson's fire department employees were there to help out in the effort. Also, TFD work requires proof of the following vaccines prior to employment: MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, DPT, diphtheria, pertussis, and hepatitis A and hepatitis B. So these are needs that we need to help, because you know what? We have a lot of citizens that come to our doors and request services and need services, and we have a lot of folks. So this is a safety issue again, health and safety. I had answered 2 calls this morning. One little girl, she was in school this morning. She's a first grader. The other one's pre-K, and he got COVID. The grandmother called me this morning crying. So those are challenges we have for our children in our schools. So I sent a note to Dustin Williams saying, what's the protocol for COVID? Are they masking it or not? Are they testing, or are they just screening? So it's a tough situation, but we got to worry about the needs of all the community. And that's what the board did on Friday night, was remember the good of all the citizens, not just the few.
I just put a link to Ducey's executive order in the chat room.
Thank you. So what does it say?
Essentially reminding local officials that they have no authority to impose those mandates, in his opinion, I guess possibly in Brnovich's opinion, and threatening that any such officials would be exposed to potential class 3 misdemeanor charges. So.
Does it take effect immediately, or?
Yes.
We'll have to have our legal people.
He's squaring off with all you all.
I know. I don't understand the logic. People are dying. People are in the hospital. Our hospitals are being inundated with patients that can. And this pandemic is not going to go away. And we have a new strain, and we have a Delta strain, and we hear another strain's coming. So the best thing to do is be vaccinated and take care of yourself. Wear your mask when you're in public.
All right.
We'll get a response from our legal advisor too on that issue. Go ahead, Larry.
Sandy Binion has a question. Go right ahead, Sandy. She's also a member of our board.
Okay. A while back, there was in the newspaper this survey about the Tucson Central Business District, and they were asking people to fill out the survey about different kinds of things that they want in the business district downtown, or in the what they call the central business district. And then we never heard anything about it. I just wondered if there was any movement on it, or who we should contact to find out what's going on.
We'll get you some more information, but I know the survey was being done, but I'm not sure if they've been filtered through the results yet. Let me double check.
Okay.
The other thing is when I have an event or I have a meeting or some potential growth, I make sure that the neighborhoods are going to be directly impacted or at the table with us to make this decision to solve what the issue is. And I know there's some concerns with Central Business District, and we made sure that wards or neighborhoods that did not want to be in there were not in there, put in the Central District map. They didn't want to be in there. So we made sure that was happening. So we got to be cognizant, because people live there all their lives. We're only here for 4 years if we're lucky. And we got to make sure with the interests of the citizens who are there raising their families are taken care of and considered. Call my office and I'll try to find out what happened with the survey and try to get you some results.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Stay healthy.
Try.
Andrea Kennedy has something to say. Go ahead, Andrea.
Hi, Richard, and thanks for coming. I wondered, having watched the legislature bully Pima County and Tucson specifically for a while now, what recourse do we have against, being charged because you want to do something that keeps people safe? And I wondered, what are other cities and counties, what are they doing in other states where you have, say, the governor saying you can't mask and you can't mandate things? What recourse do we have against this kind of, against this kind of bullying, really?
Well, they're elected officials, so we can vote them out. Like you can vote us out. And that's
Well,
one thing. But because it's like our voting locally, taking away local control because they want it to be done up to the legislature. We've opposed that 20 times, and 20 times the courts have upheld what we said. You can't take away local control, local authority, because they know what the issues are. And the same thing with this is bullying is correct. We've been bullied by because we're an all Democratic council, and they don't seem to like that. And I don't understand, it's about the safety and health of our citizens. We need a workforce that can be productive in producing the commodities we need for this community. And it's not going to be if the people are sick. I understand, we got a lot of issues and concerns with some of the safeguards we've had, like virtual. It was tough getting us to have meetings on virtual because we didn't have the capability, but now we do. And the same thing with the schools. We've worked with a lot of the schools because a lot of them didn't have hotspots, didn't have Wi-Fi, didn't have internet. A lot of my folks are still dealing with no Wi-Fi at their homes and landline. They don't have cell phones. So we've been working with the school districts and a lot of the teachers to get that information out to them. And with a lot of our partners that have helped us provide services. It's a challenge, but you can vote people out. 2022 is gonna be critical.
Hurry up. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think that's a key effort of the ADLCC and the State Democratic Party is to flip the legislature. They only have a one vote advantage, the Republicans, in the Senate and the House. And, now's the time for us to get to work and vote out and flip some of those districts.
I agree with you 100%, Larry. We need to work on that and keep educating people, get them registered and get them to vote. When I was in 2010, we pushed the all vote by mail in Pima County. It showed a 32% increase in voter turnout in my ward, 24% in Ward 1. And in every ward, we saw an increase. And it helped them because there was people that changed the precincts. There was a veteran that said, Mr. Fimbres, I went to St. John's Church and I tried to vote, but they had changed the precincts. So my daughter just took me back home. So he didn't get to vote. So that's why we come to all vote by mail. And it saved people's lives, helped them, it saved them, especially with this COVID. They can get their ballot at home and they can mail it back in. It doesn't hurt them. And it saved us money. The city, when we were going through the Great Depression, the Great Recession, it saved us money.
All right, Michael, what have you got for us?
That segues nicely into another question we have from the chat from Marion Pickett, who asked, who remained uncounted in the Tucson area and what will it cost us? I assume she's referring to the decennial census and who might have remained uncounted due to shortcuts taken by the Trump administration in the administration of the census. So I'm interested to hear what Councilman Fimbres has any thoughts on how that might have impacted the representation of Tucson and citizens here in Tucson in the upcoming redistricting.
You got to remember too, we were going through the pandemic, and a lot of that kept people from going door to door, knocking on doors. So we'll see what the count is. But I'm very cognizant. We work with Maria Cardenas and Sandra Castro, who have been working with the census to keep us alive and keep us appraised of what's going on and be very cognizant of what's going to happen with the count. So that's very critical for us to increase it. But we got to get those people registered and also to vote, those new numbers that come in. That's critical. And we're going to see lots of growth. Hopefully, I know we are because of the annexations in my ward. We're going to see more growth in my ward, and we have to do the redistricting. But we're going to have to be very cognizant when it comes up what we're doing.
Susie Anderson, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you so much, Richard. It's so good to have a conversation with somebody so close to what's happening in our lives. For people on the south side, is there new construction for homes, and how well is transportation doing down there for them being able to get places where they need to go and get back, get the services they need? So kind of two parts. Housing and
Well, we've
transport.
seen a lot of growth in my ward, and that's because there were a lot of services lacking in our area, and transportation is critical. I'm the one that made the motion that we don't charge for bus services right now. I have people that say, because of COVID, I can't work because I don't have my car, and my car broke down, so I can't fix it. So they're out there looking for jobs, and they're getting out there, and we're working with the library to help them be able to decide, or Pima County wants stuff to get them. Like I said earlier, people need to get transportation to go someplace and pick up their groceries and stuff, and their medical prescriptions and their doctor's appointments, etc. So we are working on that, very cognizant of it. Affordable housing, we have Albert Court, we have Sunshine Point. New housing has come in, affordable new housing has helped us on the south side on Park, and on Park in Irvington and Park in Drexel. We have 1,500 homes being constructed also in Rio Viejo that's coming. So we see the need. We got to make sure how do you define affordable? We got to make sure it's not $1,500 a month. We have people averaging $750 a month of Social Security. They can't live on that. You expect. So we got to work on that. And we've written the letters to the Biden administration, to his cabinet, to say, hey, you need to work on Social Security and make it stronger, not lose it, and cutting it like you do. And then prescription meds are so expensive nowadays, a lot of them. And then they only give you 30-day supply as opposed to 90 days. So we need to look at some of these things and make changes to that. That's so important too. I got people that are coming with mental health issues that decompensate, and they can't afford their medication. So they find other services. They either take drugs or alcohol to compensate for that. And it doesn't help much. I mean, it just compounds the issue and the concerns. So we're working on that. Trying to bring as many services as I can down here to provide, just like we are. Like I said, we're critical areas, locations, 5 minutes from downtown, 5 minutes from the main campus of the university, 4 minutes from the airport. And now we got 4 minutes from Banner Hospital. And then with the Pima County working with their new stadiums coming in, it'd be critical there too. But we gotta make sure that services are affordable and not expensive for the area.
Okay, we've got a follow-up question from Andrea Kennedy. Go right ahead.
Oh, thank you. This might be a little premature, but in Washington, they're moving to increase SNAP benefits by about a fourth. And also there's money in this infrastructure bill for broadband. And maybe this is a little soon to ask, but how can we channel some of this money to Pima County and Ward 3 in particular, where a lot of people don't have internet access?
Yeah, that's our IT director has been really working on that and providing. In fact, we put some of our stimulus money ahead of time to cover a lot of this and help the schools and help them out with this area because it's so critical. Education is the key to success. You're going to have to make sure that they're able to succeed in education, because that means DEA, the Department of Education, shows that the more education you have, the more better check you'll get paid. And then we need to keep moving forward. And I know Congressman Grijalva, Congresswoman Ann Kirkpatrick have been very critical in giving us the updates and letting us know what's going on. So is Senator McCalley, and Senator Sinema has been giving us the updates we need. We're going to work better together. Like I said, start looking at the gaps in the services. IT, like I said, in Ward 3 and Ward 5, they're critical. We need to fix those gaps and provide services, because I think this is the new millennium. We're going to have people always working off virtual. And if it's not COVID, it's going to be the flu or something else. We're going to make sure that whole households have the ability to get on the internet or get on the laptop and get the information out. The only thing good about the COVID is it showed us all the gaps we need, that we have in the city, that we need to work on. Thank you, Andrea.
Michael Bryan, what have you got for us?
Dr. Barbara Warren doesn't have a camera or microphone, so she asked a question in the chat. She asked, what success are we having with cleaning up PFASs and having the military pay their share or most of the cost of their pollutants? She refers, of course, to the forever chemicals that we found in groundwater.
We're working on it, Michael and Barbara. We are working on that, and we've been on it very cognizant. The wells that have been affected have been shut down, and we've opened up we created a plant. The mayor and council did a 1,4-dioxide plant when we first saw that, and now we had to shut that down. But it's still points per million. We're a lot less than what the EPA is allowed to happen. So we're very cognizant. 90% of our water comes from Everett Valley. It comes down this way. So we're working on that, protecting it. We're very cognizant because we learned from the TCE issue that we had here before. But I know that there's people, and we work with Las Aguas, Abuelitas, and lots of folks that are working on this issue and staying on top of it. We've closed wells. We've had wells checked and screened. And CE Rose, we work with CWAC. We work with a lot of the folks that need to stay on top of this thing. And yes, the military will pay. We've got discussions with them right now. Our legal department is working with them, working on them to bring the resources down. You know, when we did the 1,4-dioxide plant, we did it way ahead of time because we saw the need and concern. And we did it, we were $17 million out of pocket. But that's what the citizens needed. And then luckily the military came in afterwards and reimbursed us. So things are working and we're still there, but it's not just the military, it's 3M, and it's the foam retardant that they use for the planes, and a lot of things that they use when there's big fires. So we're working on that, but we're making sure those plants are shut down right now. Thank you for your question.
Richard, I've got a question for you, and it focuses on gun safety. And I want to know, what can Tucson do to keep guns out of the hands of prohibited possessors? Because if you remember, on July 19th, a gunman murdered 3 people in a shooting rampage in Tucson, and the gun was bought at a private party undocumented sale. And the gunman had served 6 years in prison for attempted armed robbery, and he was not permitted to possess a firearm. Yet he got a gun and shot up a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's hard because the state, again, just tied our hands. We used to have a program where you could sell back weapons that were used in crime, destroy them, and they sued us on it and they won, the lobbyists. So that's tough. But we need to talk to our legislators about taking about some of these gun laws that they have hands that strapped us. There are a couple of bills that passed this legislation. I'll have to get back to you on that, on what they were for, but they weren't supportive of guns. We need to ensure background checks are being enforced. We need to look at who is purchasing weapons and deal with it that way. The other thing is gun training, gun programming. But this guy, it's such a tragedy. The EMT officer that we lost and the lady that was his girlfriend that we lost was tough. And then the officer took his life. And this guy had a mental health history, and he also had been in prison before. And he had lost his mother and father in January to a fire there in their home. So it's so sad. But it's a sad situation, but we got to keep cognizant of what's going on, that people know. 8-day crime is still around. You have people that are showing bizarre behavior and you think they have a weapon, then report it. I would report it. You can do it anonymously.
Michael Bryan, what else? Do we have some questions in the chat?
No, actually, this one is mine. My question for you, Mr. Fimbres, I'm sorry, my vacuum this one. I'm going to be right.
I've had that happen.
Well, let me fill in the meantime with a question I've got for you, and that is, you are credited with bringing 14,000 jobs to Ward 5. You attracted Geico, Costco, Amazon Distribution Center. Tell us what you're doing to make the District 5 and the South Side so attractive to new businesses.
Well, Larry, the key is location. For years, we had a redlining. The banks would not loan to businesses on the South Side because they said they would fail. So we took away that opportunity for them to remove that redlining. And then we just kept selling location, location, location. Like I just said, 5 minutes from the airport, 5 minutes from downtown, 4 minutes from 4 minutes from the airport, 5 minutes from downtown, 5 minutes from the main campus university, and 3 minutes from Banner Hospital. It's critical in that area. And then we have lots of growth going on right now, and it's critical. And people wanted services. They needed services. They were tired of having to get on the bus and drive for 2 hours just to get to a place where they could shop and bring back the food and their prescriptions. So that's what I've been trying to do, is work and build the needs that we're missing. And the board that has been missing for a long time, for a lot of years prior to me coming in, helping them out. So that's critical. And it's, you know, Arizona land is still reasonably inexpensive. It's not as expensive as it is in California or Colorado or Texas, where people are coming into us. And so we got to make, but there's a balancing act too, because now we got to, our most precious commodity next to our children is our water. So we got to have a balancing act to make sure we're doing stuff. But it's just going out, talking to people. I'll meet with them and talk to them and see what we need. But and then the workforce is critical, because I got people from my ward going and getting job training and getting hired, getting programmed in, so that helps them and helps our area. If you look at the poverty and stress report, we've improved in graduation rates. We've improved in employment numbers. So it's improving the area. So it's got to be a way of balancing everything out, providing the needs that they need, or the services they need.
All right, Mike, I see you're back. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. My question for you, Mr. Fimbres, is whether you're familiar with the concept of community budgeting, where people get together in community meetings and actually decide how to spend some of the tax revenue that the city council would normally allocate. Have you heard of that? Are you interested in that? And do you have any plans in the works regarding pushing down those decisions into the community?
I think we've been looking at that and looking at equity and working on that. I know that Ward 1 has been working with that and helping us. We also have the budget that we have to look at. And like I said, we have lived off sales tax. We don't have the luxury the county has of living off sales tax. We have a small property budget, property tax. It's only like $20 million compared to what the county has of $480 million. So we got to balance what we're doing and provide services. Our most vulnerable citizens need to be taken care of, ensure the services. That's why the most ridership comes out of my area. So we're going to make sure that services are being provided. And we have advisors on the independent budget committee. We have several community people that are letting us know what's going on. But if we have other tools, let me know, because I'm always willing to listen and talk to people. It's like the Homeless Coalition. I took that idea from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and refined it and made it happen for Tucson. And the homeless work program was the same thing. I used what I used when I was with the governor's office of highway safety. I created the Homeless Coalition meeting and brought that together, brought key people to the table for that to see what's the best. You know, because we need experts that are there working out every day into that, especially to let us know what needs are. Same thing with Opportunity Center. Humberto Lopez listened to us, and we got Dan Ranieri, Lisa Chastain, and Roy Tolgren, 3 of the people that work with the homeless population for a lot of years, working at making that thing a gem. You should see all the other states that come into the city and review what they're doing at the Opportunity Center. And Nancy Johnson, we got Al Rio here in the Ward 5 now. It provides a valuable service there. Not only there, but it's the Opportunity Center providing services for the homeless, getting them vaccines, getting them checkups, getting the dental work that they need. Lots of issues. I would say one city, one county, one community working together to improve the quality of life for everybody in our community.
Well, Richard, I can see you've got a lot on your plate, a lot of challenges to deal with. We're all out of questions, and I was wondering if you could wrap up our meeting by telling us how we can support you, how we can find out more about what you're working on, and how do we get a hold of you?
You can call the office, talk to Mark Kerr or Mary Kuchar or Lupita Robles or Matt, and just tell them what we need to do. And I'm here to answer your questions, because I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not running unopposed, because the needs of the people always come first for me, working with them. And I'm just trying to do what I said when I was walking and knocking on doors. They said, Mr. Fimbres, we need services on the south side. We need them now. And I think that's very beneficial. Now, the education component is critical. JTED, you know, when we did that, We did that at the grand opening of El Rio. We had a small room. We met in the small conference room and we got with several of the key people, and that's how El Rio got started moving. So it's been positive. We've been moving and shaking. JTED, the same thing. So you can reach out at any time and call me, Larry, and we'll set up a meeting and talk. Because you guys are critical. The DGT is very critical, always been supportive of me and working with what I've done. And education is critical, keeping kids in school, and economic development is critical. Like I said, we live off sales tax. We don't have the luxury that the county has living off property tax. When the economy tanks, we feel it right away. And we don't want our programs to go by the wayside that affect our most needy, most vulnerable citizens. And we've got to find ways to cover the cost for those. So I appreciate your inviting me here today. And Lucy Messing has been great on the north side of DGT, and we need to get stronger. 2022 is just right around the corner. We got to prepare for that, but we also have some key races in the city that need to be made sure that we got the best people that are running. And I think you got the two of the best candidates right now, besides myself.
Right, Richard, thank you for everything you do for the city of Tucson, and thank you so much for coming to our Democrats of Greater Tucson meeting and answering all of our questions. And with that, I'm going to draw the meeting to a close and say thanks very much.
So hopefully when the times are better, we can still go back to the Dragon View. I love their food.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're all dying to meet in person. Well, you can come to our happy hour, which is coming up in the next 10 days. And so, you know, there are a group of about 30.
Invite me to come to things and I will show up when I can.
Cool. Oh, we'd love to see you.
Thank you. God bless you. Be safe, stay healthy, and hydrate, and wear your mask. And push the vaccines.
We're doing it. All right. Thank you so much, Richard.